Hi, everyone on YouTube and all the NFL YouTube prognosticators and football fans everywhere. This is Andrew Warren, back here once again, giving you my early predictions for the 2024-25 NFL season. Check it out. We're on to another year in the NFL. Preseason's here, and I was holding it up for a while because I've been really busy. I had a new job, which I gotta figure things out with that. Saw Metallica at Gillette Stadium. And, of course, there's the Brandon Aldick trade that everyone's been talking about, demanding being traded, and there's no trade clause yet. And rumor had he's in Pittsburgh. That's what I was waiting for, but I can't wait any longer. So, but now that Matthew Judon is traded from my Patriots, that's a lot to talk about with that. But hold your grudges on that one, but we're going to get some early predictions on the way. But it's that time of the year when preseason's here, early predictions are here. But I've been laying out this for too long. We're one more week till preseason. Let's get things rolling. We're going to kick things off in the NFC side, starting with the North. So we have a really tough division with Green Bay and Detroit. Minnesota was one of them. But now that J.J. McCaffrey has a season-ending injury, who blew out his knee, I believe it was, that's right down the tubes for Minnesota. Now we're on the merge for Detroit and Green Bay. And I'm not going to lie, I think Chicago is rebuilding. So that's something on that one. So I think it's too soon for Chicago. Now that they have a Heisman Trophy winner. Yeah. And all of a sudden now they're on a rebuild mode. So I don't really see Chicago doing something yet. But down the road maybe, but not now. But sooner or later, the NFC North is going to be a tough division. So anyways, for this year, it's going to come down to Detroit and Green Bay. And don't get me wrong on Jordan Love. He has great potential. But I think what I'm going to say to this is, I think it's going to be really too close of a call. So on this one, and I like what Green Bay did. They did some stuff they really needed to do to get back in the playoff hunt. And I think that's what they're going to do. But I think my hunch is, I think Detroit is going to get a little bit better. And I think they have more momentum since what happened last year in the NFC Championship game. So I'm going to roll with Detroit Lions to win the NFC North this year on this one. But this is where the kicker comes in for Detroit. I still think they're going to go back to the number 2 ranking on this one. I'll get to Green Bay in a bit. But I'm going to go after the NFC South. So the NFC South, I think this is going to be a really tough one. That's when key is in that one. Now, Matthew Judon's in Atlanta. So I think now that trade clause is in there, which they gave my Patriots gave up Matthew Judon for, I believe, a 3rd-round pick it was from the 2025 draft. So that is in play for them. But for Atlanta, I think this is a key momentum to get back in the playoff hunt. But we still got Tampa Bay rolling along with Baker Mayfield and the offense, and they got things rolling after. So they end up getting the NFC South last year. That division was so weak, I don't think any team wanted it. But I think this year is going to be a little bit different, though. It's going to come down to 2 teams. I think Carolina is still rebuilding. So I think they're going to be on the momentum for that for a little bit. And still, New Orleans, I think they're in decline right now. So I can't see New Orleans do it much either. So I think what this one's going to come down is Atlanta and Tampa Bay. And I got to put my hunch after the Matthew Judon trade. I'm going to stick with Atlanta to win that division. But for Atlanta, I'm going to pick Atlanta to be the number 4 seed in the NFC. In the NFC East, this is going to get really interesting. We have some really tough teams going in there. But of course, we got the New York Giants when Daniel Jones, which I think he had a terrible preseason, but you can't really rely on preseason. Anything can change on that in the regular season. But we'll have to wait and see on that one. And still, we still got Dallas in there. I think Dallas is going to be a really good contender. And you got Philadelphia, which is definitely going to be a bounce back. Could be a bounce back year for Philadelphia. But in all, the only team I'm really concerned is the Washington Commanders, which I can't see Washington do much this year right now. So, and as for Daniel Jones, I think he's going to a little bit improve him this year, but he still needs more to help out. on the offensive side of the ball. I think the Giants defensively, they're going to be okay. The Giants defense are going to be really, I think they're going to really be okay. I think they're going to be like my Patriots last year, but I think they're going to be a much better record than that this year. But all in all, I don't think they have, I think they need a more of an offensive team, offensive support for Daniel Jones just to get over the hump to go back to the playoffs, but I think it's too soon for that. But I think it's going to come down to Philadelphia and Dallas in this one. But I think my hunch is, I think a lot of injuries from Philadelphia last year. I think now that if they're going to be healthy this year, I think they're going to have a really good chance to improve that. And I think they're going to steal that for the NFC East right there. But I'll get to Dallas too in a bit. Well, I'll tell you about that one. The NFC West, this is not even a close one. So I'm not going to really, everyone's rebuilding in the NFC West. We got Arizona who's rebuilding. They have Marvin Harrison Jr. They could make some noise. I think that, I'm not going to lie. Now, on my NFC side for the sleeper, I will say this. Arizona is a sleeper team with Marvin Harrison Jr. in there. So we'll have to wait and see on that one, which I'll get to that one in a bit. So, but anyways, I think with that being said, they have Kyler Murray in there, and I think they could make some noise, but I think it's going to be a really tough division. But I think that's not going to be enough for Arizona to get in. I think LA Chargers are rebuilding, so I think they're going to be almost closing the door, but I don't think it's going to be enough to get in. But my other team, we all know who's going to win that one. I'm not going to dispute that. But I will continue with that team in a bit. But, for everything else from there, from Arizona, Arizona, Los Angeles, and Seattle. I think Seattle is on a rebuilding mode too. I can't see enough. I think Seattle's going to be a team that's going to be fighting for the draft pick. I think that I can't see Seattle doing much either. But we all know that I think San Francisco is going to win that division. And San Francisco is going to be the number one team in the NFC. In the NFC, I got San Francisco number 1, Philadelphia number 3, Atlanta number 4, Detroit number 2. And for my wild card picks, this is where it's going to get really dicey. We got Arizona, like I mentioned, but I think they're going to miss the playoffs. But I'll give you my reasons in a bit. But I think number 7, it's going to be Tampa Bay. Number 6, Dallas. And number 5, Green Bay. I think it's going to come down to all those 7 teams in the playoffs. But I won't lie for Arizona, like I mentioned. For the NFC sleeper, I really think it's going to be Arizona with the return of Kyle Murray and little help on wide receiver with Marvin Harrison Jr., which I will get to him in a bit. So, there you go, folks. Those are my picks on the NFC side. Let's get on to the AFC picks. Okay, now we're getting on to the AFC side. We'll kick things off in the AFC North. I was going back and forth on this one. I think no matter what happens with the Brandon Allen trade, if he goes to go to Pittsburgh, I don't know that's going to make much of a difference for Pittsburgh because I think the NFC North is going to be very tough in division. Now with the healthy Cincinnati coming back, and we have Baltimore in there, and Cleveland, it is just too close of a call. I think the NFC North is going to be the toughest division in football this year. You're going to see a lot of guys going back and forth in that division. So you got Cleveland, who is a very powerful defense, and of course you got Pittsburgh. Who has a good defense as well, and they could add Brandon Allen to get traded over there. And of course you got Cincinnati and Baltimore. I was flipping back and forth on that division. I couldn't even pick a winner in this one, but I'm gonna say this, with a healthy Cincinnati team, they could get it, but it's too close of a call. I had to go my hedge on Baltimore to win this division. In the AFC South, same thing. It's another division, but it's gonna come down to between 2 teams. I think Indianapolis, I really can't see. I think they're gonna still go into rebuilding mode. I really think that is and Tennessee, since Derrick Henry got traded, I don't really see Tennessee making a lot of noise this year. So I don't know about Tennessee in this part. So, anyways, with that being said, it come down to Houston and Jacksonville. I was debating back and forth with those two teams that they can go either way. But I will say this. I think Jacksonville is really upset they missed the playoffs last year after that big collapse, and I think they're going to make some noise. But not enough noise to get the division. I think for the second year in a row, I think Houston is going to capture that division. So I think CJ Stroud is going to be really having the heels on it. And he could be winning the favorite. I don't know. But in the MVP race, but I don't know. But I think I got my MVP all set in stone on that one. But I will get to the NFL stuff in a bit. To the awards in a bit. But anyways, with that being said, I think Houston is going to get it for the second year in a row. I think they're gonna get Jacksonville in there, but I will get to Jacksonville in a bit. So the AFC East, I'm not gonna lie. As much as I love my Patriots, I think they're back in rebuilding mode. It might take a few years, but I think after the Matthew Judon trade, I think they're gonna go on defensive side instead of the quarterback and the offensive side like they did in the draft. I really think they're gonna toss and turn on the defense of that one to draft the guy who's gonna help to be a defensive momentum on the defensive side since Matthew Judon got traded. But I think I'm going to be in rebuilding mode, but I can't see making a lot of noise after that. So I think still they're going to get another top 5 draft pick this year, but I think they're going to go on the defensive side. So I can't picture my Patriots making a lot of noise this year. And besides, since we got Drake May, I really, really can't see making him a lot of noise. I think he's going to be sitting on the bench. I think Jacoby Myers is going to be talking to a lot of the guys, teaching the ropes on to do it the Patriot way. I think that's the way they're going to go with that one. And I think Gerard Mayo, I think is going to be okay, but I think he's going to make some time to make a lot of adjustments. For what the Patriots are doing, it's kind of remind me of what my Celtics did when they drafted Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown years ago. Do a rebuilding on that one. That's what I see what my Patriots doing right now. So I think they're a young core. They're going to be rebuilding, but it's going to take a little bit. Maybe a few years from now. But not now. So, anyways, that being said, we have the New York Jets, which I'm not going to lie. Aaron Rodgers, I think he's going to have a great bounce back year. But I don't think it's going to be enough to reach the playoffs. But I will get to Aaron Rodgers in a bit. I'm not going to argue with him. He's a great quarterback. I think I think it's too close of a call. I wanted to get the Jets in the wild card berth, but I just couldn't get my hunch on that one. But I think it's going to come down to Buffalo, Miami again, but I think it's going to be the reverse tide on this one. But I think the loss of Stephon Diggs is going to really hurt Buffalo, and I think that's why I'm going to pick the Miami Dolphins to win the AFC East. So with Tua Tagovailoa and Tyreek Hill, very powerful offense. I really think they're gonna get that division this year. So I think Miami's gonna win that division to win the AFC East. So I'm gonna pick Miami to win that. So for the AFC West, there's not even close contest on this one, not even. But I will say this for Las Vegas Raiders, they're rebuilding. I will say that, and but it's too soon for Vegas. Too soon. As for the LA Chargers, they could, but I don't think it's going to be enough to get to the playoffs. That's what I don't think. And anyways, in the Denver Broncos, they're in the same boat as the Las Vegas Raiders. They're in rebuilding mode too. So I can't see making a lot of noise for Denver either. With that being said, we all know that Kansas City is going to be the real winner in this. So I'm going to pick the Kansas City Chiefs to win that division. How it's going to go? Kansas City number 1, Baltimore number 2, Houston number 4, and Miami number 3. As for the wild card, number 5, the Buffalo Bills, which I told you about that one. And number 6, Cincinnati. I think they're healthy enough to get back in the playoffs. And number 7 is going to be Jacksonville. If I had to pick a sleeper team this year, it's probably going to be the New York Jets. Because of Aaron Rodgers. He could make some a lot of noise, maybe surprise a lot of people, and that's why I'm going to get to Aaron Rodgers in a little bit more. But until then, let's get to my early playoff predictions. Okay, let's get to the AFC this time for the playoffs. We got number 2 at Baltimore, and we got number 7 at Jacksonville right there. I think this is going to be Baltimore going in there. I think they're going to try to get more redemption this time. Will they do it? I don't know. We'll see. Miami and Cincinnati. So if now that Cincinnati's back in the playoffs, I think Miami, who went to the playoffs a year ago, they still have a redemption what happened last year in the wild card. So I really think that Miami is going to go to the next round. So that's what I will say to this one. Houston and Buffalo. Now this is going to be very interesting. Last time these two teams met, Houston wanted a comeback. Last time they were in the playoffs, I believe that was a couple of years ago. But anyways, I think with this time around, not much is going to change. But I don't see a comeback though. I still think that Houston will win this one because it's C.J. Stroud. I really think they can get some momentum going. I think Houston's going to be a really fun team to watch this year. I really do. Just like they were last year, I think they're going to be even more exciting to watch this year. So I'm going to pick Houston to win that one and over that one. So you got Miami at number 3 and Baltimore number 2 and Houston number 4 and Kansas City number 1. Now, if this is the case for the second round, Miami and Baltimore, that is going to be a seesaw battle with this one. I could see this one going over 60 points on that one. They're going to be in the 30s on that one. I could see an offensive explosion like they did in, I believe, week 2 or week 1 last year when they met. I think it's going to be a much similar situation with that one. And I believe Miami won that game, if I remember correctly. But I will say this, redemption will be on their mind when it comes to for Baltimore when it came to that. And I think Baltimore may win that one. So I'm going to take Baltimore to win that game, which that'd be in Baltimore, by the way, if you're doing my numbers correctly. For Houston, number 4, and Kansas City, number 1, I think you got to put your trust on Patrick Mahomes. So I'm going to take Kansas City to win that game. And now, I think it's going to be the rematch of the AFC Championship game from last year, but this time rolling in Baltimore. Kansas City instead of Baltimore in this one. So I think that's going to be the reverse tide in this one. So, and I think now this time, I think this is going to be a more high-scoring game like everyone thought last year was going to be. But this time I really think it's going to be a high-scoring game. And now if you're in Kansas City, very tough place to play. So I had to pick the Kansas City Chiefs going to Super Bowl 59 this year as your AFC champions. Let's go down to the NFC side. In this one, we got Detroit at number 2, Tampa Bay number 7 in this one. I think Detroit is on the verge on revenge this year. I'll get to that one in a bit. But I think Detroit is going to go back to number 2 this year. I think they're going to be winning this one. I think they did what they needed to do in the offseason just to get more defense, a little bit more high momentum on offense. I really think Detroit is going to be knocking on the door this year. So I think Detroit is going to win this one. So I'm going to take Detroit and beat Tampa Bay in this one. In Philadelphia and Dallas, you can't ask for a better time to go into the playoffs if you're facing your division rivals. You cannot. But it's in Philadelphia. All I have to say is good luck to Dallas on that one. Going to Philadelphia is one of the toughest places to play. That's when the kicker is going to come in there. So I think Philadelphia is on the revenge tour on that one. So I'm going to take Philly to win that game for sure. And of course you got Atlanta and Tampa Bay for that side for 4 and 5 on that one, and Philadelphia and Dallas. Philadelphia 3 and Dallas 6. Of course you got number 4 Atlanta. You got number 5 Green Bay. Atlanta. Last time these two teams met, I believe it was the NFC Championship game. I think it was Atlanta winning that like 5 years when I went to Super Bowl 51. But this is a whole different scenario. But I think Atlanta will win it this time. So if I remember correctly, it was. I can't remember who Atlanta faced that in that NFC Championship game. It's on the top of my head right now. But I know there was one time Green Bay just spanked Atlanta. So, but I think this time, it's going to be a too close game. I think Jordan Love's going to put up some numbers. But I think Atlanta, with that defense, they can probably stop Green Bay to this one. So I think I'm going to take Atlanta to win that one. So I'm going to take Atlanta number 4 beating Green Bay number 5. And their punishment's going to play San Francisco at number 1. And of course, you got Philadelphia number 3 and Detroit number 2. I think let's kick things off for Atlanta and San Francisco. I will say this. With San Francisco, I think with their great defense and great offense, they can go into the NFC Championship game. There's no question about that one. So I'm going to take San Francisco going to the NFC Championship game as your number 1 seed. And for Detroit and Philadelphia, who is going to face in San Francisco? Honestly, I think this is going to be the rematch of last year in the exact same stadium. So I'm going to take Detroit beating Philadelphia to win this game. So, and your NFC Championship game will be San Francisco number 1, Detroit number 2, and in San Francisco again. But I'm not going to lie this time. It was a great comeback for San Francisco last year, but this is going to be a different ball game. I expect it to be too close of a game on this one, to be too close of a call. It's going to be a really tough football game this time. I don't believe it's going to be a comeback. I think it's going to be redemption for Detroit. And I think with that loss last year, that's going to motivate them. And I think Detroit will be your number 2 seed over San Francisco on this one. They will be your NFC champions, and they will go to the Super Bowl for the very first time in their franchise career. Will they win their first championship since Bobby Lane in 1957? We'll see. Okay, Super Bowl 59. Number 2, Detroit. Number 1, Kansas City. You're looking at two teams who are very decent on offense, very close on defense, too. Now, will all this scenario go this way? Like Super Bowl 58? Probably not. But I do expect it to be a good game, though. But as much as it was a good game last year, I think there's going to be a more offensive game that there was in Super Bowl 58 compared to what happened in Super Bowl 58 last year. When it went to overtime, yeah, it was like in the 40s and stuff like that. But you're talking about two great offensive teams that are going to go at it. So I expect it to be in the 30s on this one. So is it possible that Kansas City could win this? Absolutely, yeah. Absolutely. Kansas City, you got to trust Patrick Mahomes. But you got to believe in fairy tales once in a while. And if this Super Bowl happens, and just like the what happened yesterday in preseason with these two teams, I'm not going to say that preseason don't count. But that's preseason. Doesn't matter. But just because they won in preseason doesn't mean they're going to win in there. But Detroit knows how to handle Kansas City really well. And if those two teams met, I don't know. You gotta have a belief somewhere that Detroit somebody gonna upset Kansas City. I know besides the loss of Super Bowl 54 when 57 with Tom Brady in there, despite that Super Bowl loss, I think this is gonna be more painful for Kansas City if they don't win this game. And I think that's what's gonna happen. You could say this could be an upset Super Bowl in this one. And I think Detroit could upset Kansas City in the Super Bowl if they play each other in that Super Bowl 59. So my prediction will be that one: Detroit 30, Kansas City 27. You could say that would be an upset on that one. Yeah, you gotta have an underdog team once in a while. Just ask my Patriots on that one. They lost an underdog 3 times. They lost to Philadelphia in Super Bowl 53, and of course Super Bowl 42 for the Giants and 46 for the Giants. But you got to have something like that. But I think that's the team. I think that's going to be a year for that. So my early prediction, favorites to win the Super Bowl, it's the Detroit Lions. You just missed Bella just seconds before my early NFL playoffs. Sorry about that. I think Bella wanted some attention on that one. Then she just jumped off. So sorry about that, but I'm pretty sure she'll come back. But anyways, that being said, about my early NFL playoffs. Now we're going to the NFL awards. First off, I'll do the Rookie of the Year. I think this year it's gonna go to Marvin Harrison Jr. If I had to pick a rookie guy who's gonna really make a lot of noise, I think it's gonna be Marvin Harrison Jr. I'm not saying everything wrong from Drake May into all the other players on the rookie list. So, anyways, I think Marvin Harrison is going to be really favored to win that Rookie of the Year chase. But I will say I will give some props to for Arizona for trying to fix their offense. I know they already have a quarterback. They needed a wide receiver. I think they topped that really well. So, anyways, let's continue on the NFL Comeback Player of the Year. I think Aaron Rodgers of the New York Jets. Yeah, I have them missing the playoffs, but I think Aaron Rodgers is going to make enough credits on his resume to get the Comeback Player of the Year award. So I think there's that one. NFL MVP, Patrick Mahomes. And I've had to pick a sleeper for that one, probably C.J. Stroud on that one. I would have to say that. But NFL Coach of the Year, I'm going to give my hedge to Mike McDaniel from Miami. I will say that one for Mike McDaniel. I'm not going to argue with this one. Mike McDaniel's been working really hard to get the NFC division really hard. And if he gets the NFC East this year, I think he has a really high chance to win that NFL Coach of the Year award. I could be wrong. NFL Defensive Player of the Year, I'm going to say Nick Bosa from San Francisco. I will say that one. I think Nick Bosa, he's going to have a really high chance in this one. And I had him on Comeback Player of the Year list, too. I think he's going to be my sleeper for Comeback Player of the Year, too, because he got hurt a few times last year. So I really think that one will be the case. But NFL Offensive Player of the Year, I got Tyreek Hill from the Miami Dolphins. If I had to pick a non-quarterback to win MVP, it'd probably be him. But it'd be a Tyreek Hill. But I don't think it's going to go down that way. I think Patrick Mahomes is going to win the MVP on that one. And I think Tyreek Hill is going to win the Offensive Player of the Year. And who could be NFL coaching jobs on the line? You might not like who I'm going to be picking in this one. I will say one of them is Kyle Shanahan. I think, I won't lie, if he doesn't win a Super Bowl this year, and if he gets another collapse in the playoffs or in the Super Bowl this year, you're most likely his job will be fired. I don't care. You have two comebacks as a head coach and one as an offensive coordinator. That's a really tough to swallow right there. Really tough to swallow on that one. And if you make another comeback, make another collapse in the playoffs like that, you gotta go. Yeah, as much as a great coach Kyle Shanahan is, and I think he could get a job somewhere by sundown if he does, I really think that it's not going to be any good day for Kyle Shanahan in the playoffs on that one. In this one. But I will say this, Sean McVay from Buffalo, I really think that he's going to have a high chance of not losing his job too. After what he didn't do much in the offseason. You let go of one of your best wide receivers. You have no help for Josh Allen, So now you're in a position that you are definitely risking your job. Because you lost to the playoffs a few times. You had a big choke against Kansas City last year in your home turf. You lost to Kansas City in the NFC Championship game at least once or twice, if I remember correctly. You lost to Cincinnati. If you have one more loss in your resume and if you make the playoffs, I think you have a really high chance that you're going to lose your job too. I'm not saying Sean McVay and Kyle Shanahan are bad coaches. I'm just saying, if you have a bad choking resume in the playoffs, that's not really good. And another guy would think his job will be on the line. It would probably be... I don't even know yet. To be honest, I haven't really thought about that. A coach who has really bad coaching experience. So I really thought of that. But all I could think of too is Sean McVay, and I could think of Kyle Shanahan right now. So those are my two chances are who is going to get fired, I think. So that's my take on that one. So anyways, those are my thoughts on my NFL early picks. Hope you enjoy them. I will try to be back by week 1 for the NFL season, for a fresh new start for the NFL season. Until then, this is Andrew Warren signing off saying, rock out and eat your breakfast.